What's up, guys? Welcome to part 2 of the Lexus rebuild. Now, if you remember in the last video, we just unloaded the car at my house. I don't think I got that on video, but we unloaded the car at my house. I had to push it off the trailer because I didn't have any jumper cables with me at the time, and I didn't have a jump box either. So luckily my neighbors were there to help me push it down the trailer and onto the driveway. But after that, we had to look around the car. We saw there was some damage that I knew was there, and after inspecting a little deeper, there was some damage that I wasn't aware of. So that was kind of a bummer, but you know, these things happen when you're buying a really cheap car and it's very impromptu. I should probably explain a little bit why I bought this car. So this is not like a replacement for the Celica. I'm still keeping the Celica, and this Lexus is gonna be kind of like a second car for me, but at the same time not really. So the story goes, we needed a new car at the house, like a family car, just to carry everyone in when we go on trips or anything where we just need the whole family in the car, because the Celica is not very spacious, and our other car is a Toyota Matrix, which is also, like, it works, but we just want something bigger. And we just needed a third car since I take mine to school every day and no one else can drive it, and the Matrix is just like my dad's, he just takes that to work every day. So this Lexus is kind of just there for whenever someone needs it. And you know, they told me to buy, my parents told me I should buy an SUV, and I was originally looking at like RAV4s and whatnot, but then this Lexus came up for way cheaper. It was the cheapest one on the market at the time. This was like during like when the prices were all still really crazy. So really rough condition Lexus IS250s were selling for like 6,000 to 8,000 for like really beat up ones, and then the nice ones were like over 10. So I found this car for way less than that. I think I'll do like a price list maybe when we're done fixing the car, but I got it for way below market at the time, what market was, and I thought I got a great deal. But looking at the damage, I'm a little unsure. So we're gonna fix all of the damage we found in the last video, and we're just gonna take it from there. What's going on? This is part 2, I think, of getting the Lexus roadworthy. So it's another day. It's a little rainy, but it's not too bad, so we can keep working on the car. So last time, what did we do? We got the hood cable installed so the hood can release from the inside, and we put in the front grille on this bumper. What else? We discovered some damage right there to the crash bar. But the more I looked, I also noticed that the radiator support was damaged at the bottom there. Once we pull off the crash bar, you can see it a lot easier, but the radiator support in this corner is pushed in, and I think slightly pushed up. Which would make sense because this top piece has 2 bolts on each side, one here and here, one here and here, but these top bolts, I can't bolt them down. It's not sitting flush. There's like this gap here. That's probably because the bottom is pushed up slightly, which is pushing on the radiator. So that really bothered me. So I got a whole new radiator support. Picked this up from the junkyard. It's all straight, which is great. Also got a new crash bar, which is not crushed. So that'll be going on. So that's going to be the main focus of this video. It feels a little intimidating, but let's get started. First off, we got to remove the headlights and then the crash bar. So first I'm going to take off this bar, and all of the bolts that hold this thing on are 17 mil. And somehow I didn't have a 17 mil. So I bought a new tiny tool thing because it was on sale. And it's really nice because it came with a ratchet. And my old ratchet was really dying. So with the crash bar off, you can really see how crushed this thing is. It's already gotten it loose. But yeah, that's really pushed in. And this is why like the bar was sitting tilted like this. This side looks okay, but I'm still gonna replace it anyway since I just have another one. And this is what I was talking about for the radiator support. We have a small kink up here, which I showed already, but we have some damage here. And this is what really bugged me at the bottom was, look at this. This is supposed to be pointed straight down, but you can see it's going that way. And this whole bottom piece is pushing, it's been pushed that way. It shouldn't be like that. So we're just gonna slowly start taking stuff apart. Just look at that. Now I could probably just replace this piece and put it all together and it would be functional, because this is stopping the bumper from fitting right, and I also don't feel safe about leaving it like this. But the rest of the stuff, I guess I could leave, but I just don't want to. Next we're going to take off the other headlight, and what I can tell, there's only 2 bolts that hold the headlight on. There's one right here, and then there's one up here. Now we're going to take off this piece, and I don't have the impact, so we're going to be using the old breaker bar. These bolts are on super tight. It also helps go back and forth a little bit so that it loosens up the rust. If you're ever unloosening a bolt and you feel it getting tighter, it's probably rust building up. So just go back and forth. If you don't, you'll probably snap the bolt. Okay, so now we can start unbolting the actual rad support. There's supposed to be 2 bolts here, but they're not here. So it looks like someone's already tried taking this apart, maybe. Maybe this has been swapped. Maybe they tried taking it off and then gave up. But see, it's loose because these bolts aren't here. We need to disconnect everything that's connected to the rad support. So we can take this off. And then there's also this thing on each side. It's probably for like the airbags, I'm betting. This is probably for like if it gets hit, like the airbags would go off, I'm assuming. So we should be really careful with that. And then we have to unclip all of the wires, and then we have to somehow support the radiator while we take out the radiator support, because I don't want to like flush it out and refill it, because that would be a lot of work and I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, update. I'm wearing a hat because it's raining. On the car, we have got... Okay, so to remove the rad support, there's only, I think, 8 bolts that hold it. There's 2 here. 1, 2, and I've got those loose. There's 2 over here. Those are not on here for some reason. And then there's 2 more in here, which means we have to remove the fenders, which is unfortunate because that's a lot of work. And then there's 2 more on this side, right in here. So that's the next thing we gotta do, is remove the fenders. To do that, there's a bolt here, there's a couple of bolts here. There's one that's kind of hidden under here, under this plastic. There's a bunch of clips going through here, and then there's 2 bolts in there. And to get those 2 bolts, we gotta remove side skirts. It's so much work, one thing after another. So to remove this, there's a bolt here. There's a bunch of clips. You gotta open the door and remove this seal, because there's 1 screw in here and on the back, and if you just pull on it, you'll break those, and it won't be super secure, I guess. So side skirts, then fenders, and then back to rad support. Look at that damage, man. Look at that big crease. This should be straight. But yeah. Another thing, when I bought this car, the guy told me it needed alignment, but I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, so steering wheel straight, this wheel is straight, but this wheel is towed out. Like, I'm not sure how obvious it is, but that wheel is like this, it's out. And that's another thing we have to deal with, because that is like way too much tow out. I think tow out. It's way too much out to like drive around. Even just to get it to a shop, I feel like it feels like it's pulling side to side. So that's something we gotta deal with later. So this bolt's out. Around here, we lift only this much of the weather stripping, and in here you'll see a hole, and there's 1 Phillips screw in there. And now we should be able to just pull the skirt. There's 1 more screw on the back if you want to take the whole skirt off, but I don't think I need to. Yeah, so I took off the screw and the bolt from the back, and I unclipped most of the skirt, but there's 1 more bolt under there that I can't seem to find. But regardless, it's enough space for me to get these bolts and get this fender off. Okay, we almost have this fender off. 2 screws on the bottom are off. Everything here is off, and this one's off, and this one is off. This one was already not here, which is kind of weird. But there's 1 more hidden screw, and that's, you gotta open the door and see this bulging out thing behind this if you just pull on it. And there's the last screw right there. So the rain's picking up a little bit, and we got both fenders off. So now we can keep pulling on the radiator support. I'm starting to think sections of the support were replaced, but for some reason not all of it, obviously, because some parts are blue instead of gray, and some bolts are missing here and there. So pretty sure some stuff was replaced, but I don't know why they wouldn't replace all of it if they were already in here. Anyways, I want to try and take off just this section. I think this thing unbolts into like 4 big pieces pretty much. Top, bottom, and then the sides. And I want to take it off in sections because in this corner is all of the AC stuff. And it like wraps around the radiator, and I don't want to unbolt that stuff because then that will leak out into the air. So that's what we're going to try. We're just going to try taking off this section. After, like a few hours, it feels like I've separated this piece off of the new rad support. So we're going to put this through here. That's the plan. Alright, so I should explain why I'm doing this radiator support in sections instead of replacing the whole thing. And the reason is because I think that it's gonna be a lot easier for me to replace it in sections, because then I don't have to remove the radiator and drain it out, because that would add a lot of time to the job. And I also don't have to deal with refilling and then discarding the old coolant. And another big reason is because if you see right here, there's a bunch of lines that wrap around this one side of the radiator support, and these lines, they're electrical lines but also AC lines. And I know for a fact that the AC does work on this car, so all these lines are full of that AC liquid stuff, and I don't want that being released into the air, because that's really bad. And then also I'd have to get it refilled afterwards, and I do not want to open that system at all. So the best way to avoid that would be just fishing out the radiator support in sections, and that's what I'm doing here. Alright, finally. The rain's starting to pick up, so I'll move the camera a little. Alright, so this part right here was really challenging for me because I have to, with one hand, hold up the radiator so it doesn't fall out of place, and use my other hand to fit up the good condition radiator support. And it's taking a lot of muscle strength from me because that radiator is pretty heavy, but luckily it is kind of staying in place itself a little bit, just being held by the hoses, I guess. But luckily I was able to manage, but it was a challenge on my arm, very much so. So we've got new rad support in, the radiator sitting on it nicely. So now I just gotta tighten up all the bolts on the rad support and also swap that top piece, and then we can throw back the fenders and then put everything else back together. So it's looking good so far, everything's lining up. So let's just keep going. The next day. It's a much nicer day, so we can get a lot more done. We got a lot done in the last day. The new rad support's on there. It's looking good. Everything's lining up straight, and now we're just gonna start throwing crash bar on and reassembling everything. Okay, so we just finished the putting on the, what is it called, the crash bar, the reinforcement bar, and it's secure, and I tightened it as hard as I can. And right after that, my glass guy came and he replaced the windshield. So now I just have to throw everything back on, and this car is road ready, I guess. The last thing that really is bugging me is obviously this thing needs a really good alignment, because the front is just not straight. That wheel's straight, this wheel's super turned out. So I want to try correcting this slightly. I am gonna get it aligned properly, but it's really towed out. So I'm gonna try and adjust it to make it a little bit better, because I can feel it pulling the wheel side to side when I tried moving it around the driveway. Okay, let's take a pause here for a second, because the video is getting pretty long, and I think this is a good place to stop for now. We completed the radiator swap, or the radiator support swap, and that was a pretty big job, and everything that came after that I feel like would make great for one more video. So for now, hope you've enjoyed, and come back for hopefully the last part of getting this car on the road.